I'm super excited for today's video because I ordered the new Wayne Goss palette called Tourmaline. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. And to be honest, I wanted to order this palette in honor of Mel. She means so much to so many of us. She was not just a YouTuber. So I thought this would be a great way to keep her spirit alive with me and in my heart. I miss her so much. She was such an amazing, genuine soul. So again, I'm just really excited to review this in honor of Mel. We'll be doing swatches and a wear test for you guys so you can see up close. And while we review this beautiful Wayne Goss Tourmaline palette, the topic of the day, and actually for all of October, is going to be a trick or treat regarding finances or insurance. So if you're looking forward to learning a little bit more about finances and you're excited to review this palette, then don't forget to hit the like button and let's get started right now. Okay, you guys, so the only thing I have on my eyes right now is the e.l.f. Putty Eye Primer, which I use in pretty much every video. And I just wanted to show you guys up close what this palette looks like. And I will be doing swatches as I mentioned. So the outside is a beautiful, matte, typical Wayne Goss packaging. And let me open this up for you guys. It does have a mirror. So it has 6 beautiful shades. And I guess part of the reason I was so drawn to this color story is just that it's not your typical red palette, because most red palettes are more warm tone, but this palette definitely has more of a cool tone to it. So if you have pink skin like me and are fair, I think you're going to find that this palette is just absolutely beautiful. So let's get started right away. So just a couple logistics so you guys know what I'm referring to. So I'm going to refer to the shades as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is how they're actually laid out on the back. And I'm thinking what I would like to do is kind of like a red smoky eye. I know typically I do more of a natural look on my channel, but these reds are just really calling to me. So the first shade I'd like to get started with is this kind of brown shimmery shade. So I'm just going to use that to kind of set the putty primer. So I'm going to use the e.l.f. blending brush, which is kind of a flat buffing blending brush, I guess you could say. So let's dip into this second shade right here. And I'm just going to use this, as I said, to set the eyes. This is a really nice brush too. e.l.f. actually makes some really great brushes. I do eventually want to order Wayne Goss's brush set because they're calligraphy and styled and I have slightly hooded eyes. I really do think that those brushes would just work beautifully because they kind of come to more of a point, and I think that would be extremely helpful. So one day I'll definitely be trying those out. Okay, so I just finished applying shade number 2 all over the crease and the eyelids. So this shade right here is really calling to me. So I'm going to kind of pack this shade on my lids, which is number 5. And this red shade is beautiful. It does look like it has a little bit of shimmer in it. So I'm going to dip my, this is from the e.l.f. Mint collection, the Mint Melt brushes. So let's dip into 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, shade number 5. You guys, this is my first Wayne Goss palette, and I'm just super excited that I finally have my hands on one of his palettes. They typically sell out pretty quickly, so I'm really excited to be using it. So, okay, so let's go in with shade number 5. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of set this all over my lid, and then I will buff it out. Oh my gosh, this red shade is beautiful. As I mentioned, this palette, part of the reason I love the color story is because they're a little bit more taupey and more cool tone than your typical red palettes. So I am loving this red shade. So this is just one go at it right now. I'm going to build this up just a little bit more since I'm using kind of more of a fluffy brush instead of a packing brush. My daughter is playing Minecraft. If you guys can hear in the background, I apologize. So I'm just going to buff this up above my crease a little bit. And I have slightly hooded eyes, so I have to raise my eyebrows a little bit as I'm applying this. Okay, so I just took my time buffing out this shade here. So next I would like to go in with shade number 3, which is this deeper red. And it almost has kind of like a taupey red shift to it. So in order to apply that shade to kind of the crease just to deepen it up, I'm going to use this e.l.f. Detail Crease Brush, which is perfect for kind of more of a precise application. So let's dip in to shade number 3. Okay, left eye's done. Let me do my right eye next. Okay, so next I'm just going to take this clean brush from e.l.f., which is also from the Mint collection, and I'm going to dip into shade number 2, which is this light brown shimmery shade, and I'm just going to use that shade to kind of buff out the edges a little bit so there isn't such a stark contrast between the red and no shadow. Okay, so next I'm going to take a flat liner brush and go in with shade number 4, which is this matte brown shade, and I'm just going to use that to line my upper lash line. This brown shade is absolutely beautiful. It's definitely more of a cool tone, which is kind of the vibe of the palette, so I am already loving this palette so much just because I'm a big lover of cool tones. Now, I didn't order the eye pencils, so that's why I'm using the eyeshadow palette by itself instead of using the beautiful kohl pencils that came with the collection. My gosh, you guys, these shades are seriously blending like absolute butter. And as much as I wish I had the Wayne Goss brushes, these cheap e.l.f. brushes are doing a beautiful job. Okay, so next what I'd like to do is highlight the brow bone. So I'm going to go into shade number 1, which is kind of more of a pinky light highlighter shade. So let me dip into shade number 1 and apply that to the brow bone. And I'm just using a Sonia Kushnook, if I said that correctly, brush for this. Ooh, this pink shade, the number 1, has a beautiful sheen to it. I'll show you guys up close once I'm done. Okay, so next let's do the lower lash line. So for the lower lash line, let's go in with shade number 5, which was that first red shade I used. And I'm just going to smoke that out a little bit on the lower lash line. So I'm just taking that number 5 shade and kind of smoking that out on the lower lash line. And I'm connecting that up to the top portion of the eyelid. Yeah, and I'm also finding these shades are very pigmented, so you definitely don't have to dip in many times. Okay, so just to define the lower lash line, I'm going to go in with shade number 4, which is again that brown shade. And I'm just going to use that flat e.l.f. liner brush. And I'm going to keep that brown shade really close to the lash line. Ooh, yeah, I went in with a little bit too much, but that's okay. Now, I always take my lower lash line only about 2/3 of the way in because I find it kind of gives that more of an eye opening and eye lifting effect if I don't go in all the way. These shades are so beautiful, you guys. For my first Wayne Goss palette, it is definitely doing it justice. Okay, so next I'd like to dig into shade number 6. Now, if you're used to Wayne Goss's palettes, typically this is more of an extremely opaque shade. This is not, it's almost more of a topper. So I'm just going to use my finger to dip into shade number 6 and really focus that kind of more on the first half of my lid and just up above the crease. Oh my gosh, this topper shade, you guys, oh, it is so beautiful. The shimmer in it is just gorgeous. All right, get the other eye on. Okay, so next let's go back in to shade number 1, which is the pink shimmery shade, and I'm going to use that for an inner corner highlight. So I'm going to use this packing brush right here, and apply that shade number 1 to the inner corner. Yeah, that shade number 1 is a beautiful inner corner highlight shade and brow bone highlight. Okay, next I'm going to apply mascara, possibly lashes, and I'll be right back to show you guys a close-up. Okay, you guys, so I just finished the rest of my makeup applying the Wayne Goss Tourmaline palette, and I wanted to give you guys a close-up of what my eyes look like freshly finished, so here you go. I think this palette is just absolutely beautiful so far. As I mentioned so many times, because this palette has more of a taupey brown undertone, that's part of the reason I love this palette, but also the formula, the shades are so easy to work with. So this is what it's looking like so far. Next, let's cut into swatches and then the topic of the day. Okay, you guys, it is swatch time. So here are what the shades look like close up in the palette. And then here are the 6 shades swatched out. What's interesting is the brown shade, which is number 4. It looks more brown on camera, and I will say when it's more heavily applied, it does come across brown, but more lightly applied, it looks a little bit more gray and taupey. But either way, here are the 6 shades. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys. Next, let's cut into the topic of the day. Hi everybody, hopefully the swatches were helpful for you, and welcome to the topic of the day. So for today's topic, whether it be a trick or treat, I would say it goes along more the lines of a treat. Now today I just kind of wanted to have a heart-to-heart with you guys. The reason I say today is a treat is because if you are alive, then you are of course blessed with being able to really appreciate your friends, your family, and your loved ones. So my tip for today is to simply look into picking up life insurance. Now, again, life insurance is not the solution for everyone. However, if you've already had life insurance in place, you could potentially get a lower rate. And if you don't have life insurance in place, I think this video just goes to show, especially with Mel, you just never know what can happen. So whether or not you actually end up picking up life insurance is really irrelevant. Really what it comes down to is simply understanding your options. That way you can make an educated decision as to whether your family does or does not need life insurance. Because at the end of the day, failing to plan is planning to fail. So the other tip that goes along with life insurance is I highly recommend looking into an independent agent as opposed to a captive agent. So you might be wondering what's the difference. So a captive agent works for one company. So yes, they may have different life insurance solutions within that one company, but they're only going to be able to show you solutions within that company that they work for. Whereas with an independent agent, what that means is they can work with as many life insurance or financial companies as they would like to. So this applies to whether it's life insurance, finances, any sort of insurance at all. So basically, an independent agent is going to be able to do shopping around for you and find the best solution for you as a client, as opposed to trying to fit you into a box for what that one particular company has to offer. Now, I'm very publicly open about letting folks know that if you live in Michigan, if you have any questions regarding life insurance, Medicare, finances, investments, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. Now, I am in no way trying to guilt trip anyone into picking up life insurance. Of course, it's not the solution for everyone. However, if something, God forbid, did happen to you, the last thing that you want your family to have to deal with is any monetary stress. So that's the only reason why I'm bringing it up. If it's not something that you have ever looked at in the past, then I highly recommend at least looking into it so that way you understand your options and you can actually have a plan in place. Whether life insurance is part of that plan or not, again, is irrelevant, but at least you have that basis of a plan in the worst case scenario that something should happen to you. So I know this is a little bit more of a heartfelt tip today, but I really just can't stress it enough. At least take a look at your options, whether that be for finances, insurance, so that way you know what you have if what you have is the best place you can be in, if there's better options. That way you just know what to expect in those situations and you have a contingency plan in place. So I hope this quick tip is helpful for you guys. Again, if you have any questions, please leave those down below and I'd be happy to get to them. All right, next let's cut into the wear test right now. Hi everybody, so this Wayne Goss Tourmaline palette has been on for about 8 hours, and let me show you what it looks like up close. In case you are wondering what lashes I'm wearing, they are actually e.l.f. faux mink lashes in the style Drama Queen. Juicy Jazz actually recommended these years ago, and I can totally see why. They're absolutely beautiful. And I also went in with Aqua Teal for the NYX lower lash line. That is starting to, or I'm sorry, not the lower lash line, but the inner lash line. So that's what I have on there. As far as the palette, it really has not creased very much. Granted, I did go in with eye primer, and I just have to say, you guys, I love this palette so much. Wayne Goss's formula on the eyeshadows are absolutely stunning. For a first palette, I'm definitely going to be looking into his future collections. So this eyeshadow palette is getting an A+ from me. As I mentioned before, I really wanted to also pick this up just in honor of Mel. I know this was the last video that she did, and I thought, what better way to keep her in our lives than to purchase something from one of her good friends. As you know, Wayne Goss and her were very good friends. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video reviewing the Wayne Goss Tourmaline palette. It's absolutely beautiful. If you haven't picked it up, I definitely recommend it. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please be safe, give your loved ones a hug and a kiss if you have not yet today. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.